Hey basketball coaches and players, today I'm going to give you a fantastic set of baseline inbounds plays that you can run at the youth level that can work against man-to-man defenses as well as zone defenses. So let's get down to the clipboard and let's check these out. So in this first play, I'm going to show you against a man as well as a zone. And this play we're going to set up with player 2 setting a screen for player 5, and player 4 is also going to be setting up a screen as well. And this is going to be a staggered screen. At this time, what's going to happen is player 5, he's going to have a decision. He's going to use both of those screens, and once he gets past the second screen, I really want him to make a decision. If his defender is going over top of those screens, I want him to cut down towards the net. If his defender, however, is going underneath the screens, I want him to pop out towards this corner. If he pops down, his player gets stuck on a screen or whatever and he cuts down this way, I want that to be an easy basket. I want that to be a reverse, a regular layup, whatever. If he pops down towards this corner and he gets that pass, this is when it gets interesting. He could take that shot. If he's a good three-point shooter, definitely I wouldn't discourage it. But if he's covered, next, we're going to have two things happening at once. We're going to be having player 1 using players 2 and 4 again as a screen. And in fact, I want player 1 to be using those staggered screens at the same time as this pass is being made. The reason for that is because now with player 1, especially if he's open, I really want player 1 to get that ball. Of course, he could take that shot. That's a secondary option. But our main option that we want is player 3 to be running inbounds using players 4 and 2 as what I like to call an elevator screen, which is a double screen up top that should get his player stuck. Now with player 3 up top, we're going to have player 1 passing player 3 the ball. He can take that shot, or player 1 or 3 could set up the offense. Now let's check it out against a 2-3 zone, which is one of the more popular zones that you would come across against a baseline inbounds. Now, in this set, we're going to have player 2 and 4 still setting that screen. Player 5 is going to be popping out, and I want him to go either towards this corner or I would like to see him cut towards the rim, both of which are valuable options. So if he cuts towards the basket and he gets that ball, so number 1, if he gets that ball, he's double teamed, he can't do anything. Player 1 is still using that staggered screen up top going to the free throw line extended. Now, player 3 would pop out. Player 5 could obviously score if he could. If he can't, player 3 would be an option, player 1 would be an option, player 3 would be an option, possibly collapsing the defense for an extra pass. There's a few different options here. But if player 5 instead cut out towards that corner, received that ball, that's going to be stretching the defense. We're now going to be having that pass up top. Now, instead of it being an elevator where these players collapse, we would have a screen on player 1 and a screen on player 2. Player 3 would still pop up to the point, and at that point, we would have player 1 pass to player 3 for that 3-point shot. Now, this next play is what I call the S play. I've shown this a few times on this channel, but I'm going to change it up just a bit today in this video. So just really quickly, the S play, if you don't already know it, haven't seen some of my older videos, let's say this player is Tyler, right? Ty, whatever. And this would be called now ST because it stands for shoot Tyler. If his name was Brandon, we would say SB, and that would be shoot Brandon. Now, if we said ST or S Tyler, whatever you want to call it, and at that point, we would have player 2 run between players 4 and 5. They would collapse. They would stick that player. And now we would have player 2 shooting that ball. It's a very quick play. Now, this is obviously an option, and it does work against zones as well as man defenses. And I've seen players in game hit 4 or 5 threes in a single game, actually back-to-back in one case, where we got 4 baseline inbounds in a row with threes. It was fantastic. But from there, we can extend this play just a bit. So instead of it being an S play, I like to call this one rotation, or rotation Tyler, for example. So like this is Tyler, Ty, whatever. We can say rotation Tyler. So instead of him going in between these two players, what I want to see is now player 5 setting that screen. This is very important. Player 2 gets that screen set. He's going to pop out towards this corner. Player 2 is going to receive that ball, and at this point, we're going to be having player 3 just step inbounds really quick. We do not want him out of bounds too long. That is usually a foul or a delay of game or whatever in most leagues. And at this point, we're going to have player 5 setting a screen down for player 4. Player 4 is going to be popping up, and now player 2 is going to be passing to player 4. Player 4 is going to get that ball, and now, of course, player 2 could have still shot that ball. Player 4 could still shoot this ball. These are all different options that we have. At this time, we're going to have player 1 setting a screen for player 3. Player 3 can use that screen. Player 4 is going to set a 1 to 2 dribbles towards the point. Player 3 is going to be popping out towards the free throw line extended. This is us rotating that ball around the perimeter. That's why I call it rotation. Player 3 is now able to take that shot as well if he wants to, if he can, if he's open. If he's not open, this is when it gets very interesting, especially if you're going up against a man-to-man defense. And let me explain why. So player 1 is going to set a screen for player 5, and player 5 is going to go underneath that screen. He's not going to go over top. I want to see him go underneath, and there's a very good reason for that. If you go over top, player 5's defender is usually going to go underneath and still defend. By going underneath the screen, that's going to force player 5 to go over top in most cases, and if that's the case, that's going to be an easy layup. Now, if they call switch, which is what we really want them to do, what's going to happen now is player 1 is going to drop off, we're going to have a mismatch, and we're going to have player 1 go to the high post. This is very important. We're going to have player 4 clear out as well. We've now created a situation where if player 5 drops down to help out his defender, his teammate, because of course there's a mismatch, we have player 1 wide open at the free throw line to take a shot. All player 5 has to do is just pass it out. So this is a very useful play. We've got one 3-point shot or mid-range shot availability. We got another one. We have another shot option. We have a low post option as well as a free throw line option. So we have so many different options to score in this. Now let's check this out against a zone defense. So against the 2-3 zone, very similar. We're going to have player 2 going through. Now, what we really want to have happen, because usually player 4 will be on this side, player 2 may want to go up a bit higher so that now player 3 can just lob it over to player 2. At this time, we're going to have the defense popping out, and we're going to be having player 1 covering usually that high post. Player 1 is now going to be popping up. We're going to have a pass over to player 1. Of course, player 2 and 1 are both options again to take that 3. Now, player 3, he is going to be still popping out to this free throw line extended. There's a reason for this. The reason is players 1 and 2, because that is their zone right there to double team. That's their double team location. Usually they're going to be double teaming, which means player 3 will be wide open for that shot. Now, because this is a zone, the defense is going to shift. Player 3 is going to be popping out. At this time, we're going to be still having that screen in the middle this time. Instead of for player 5's man, it's for the zone player. Player 5 is going to pop over to this block or mid-range or even a 3 if he can shoot a 3, and he can take that shot. Now, after this screen, if player 5 was to get that ball, and player 5 red was able to get around that screen and player 4 popped down, player 1 is then going to be moving down. We're going to be having player 4 go to the high post still. That's going to be taking up that player, but we still have the option for player 1. But personally, this is how I would run it. I know a lot of coaches will just say player 5 has to get that shot. If not, well, now we need to reset. Well, instead of resetting, have player 1 cut down towards this corner. Remember, reading the defense, having player 2 cut down towards this corner. Now player 5 has a couple of different options. He can kick out for a 3. He can take one dribble into the middle, collapse that defense, and now have player 5 kick out to player 2 for a 3-point shot. There's a couple of different options. It's all about reading the defense at that point in time. Really quickly, if you want a very good defense to run, make sure to go check out the Unbeatable Basketball Zone defense down in the description below, and also check out the 5-out offense complete guide down there too if you want to run a very simple offense. I hope that this video has helped you become a better basketball team. If it has, hit that like button and subscribe, and I'll see you guys again next time.